Yo, back once again for the Elevated Audio Podcast. I am Raj Elevate. This is my co-host.
I'm still Chris Audio. I have not changed my name.
You haven't changed?
Or I haven't changed anything about myself. I'm still the same.
Ah, there you go. As y'all can see, I
For
got
now.
yet. As y'all can see, I'm in my happy place right now.
Whatever that is. Anyone who's not listening, anyone who's just listening and not looking at this, it's a ridiculous background, some kind of filter where he looks like he's inside of a Christmas tree. Except there's no branches. It just looks like decorations hanging all over.
I'm just in my studio, but what's here? What's behind me? I didn't even know. Tell me, Audio.
There's like some lights. There's like light fixtures. There's like a candle over like your left shoulder. There's a Christmas wreath. There's it looks like some wind chimes maybe, but a lot of light bulbs. But very festive. And just randomly above your door in the background, like above your head, there's like a gift. There's a gift on the wall. It's the only gift in the picture, so I don't know.
For those that don't know, if you use Skype, I don't know if other platforms have it too, but on my Mac in Skype, like there's a feature to throw a background.
Yeah.
As like pick a background as your background, and so I go crazy with it when we do our shows. It's fun.
No, I think you should literally every time we do an episode, try to do a different background. It'll just be like your thing. And I think, you know what? I think from now on we shouldn't even talk about it. It should just be like a thing where it's just it's like a little gift. It's like a little nugget that if you are like one of the people who watch the show, you're just like, what background is this guy gonna do this time?
Where is he at? Like over the course of a period of time, you're gonna see the same ones because there's only a limited amount of backgrounds,
That's true. People just think that you have this ridiculous house where you've got 9 rooms.
Which is ridiculous stuff.
So which room is he gonna record from today?
Love. Yeah. So what's our topic? Well, before we start, make sure you guys subscribe to the Elevated Audio Podcast on YouTube, Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Now we're on Apple Music, Spotify, all the streaming platforms, right?
Yeah, it should be on any podcast hosting platform, any podcast platform, whether it's Apple, Spotify, and I know those are probably the 2 main ones, but I'm sure there's so many other ones. But we should be on basically all the main podcast apps or platforms. Whichever one is your preferred, if you could please subscribe and support, that would be amazing. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, please. If you do both, subscribe to both. And if you're active on social media, even if you're not that active on social media, follow us on Instagram, find our page on Facebook. You can even add us on our personal Facebook or Instagram pages. We are very social people. So, come on and, interact with us. We love talking about music.
Do you have a preference between Spotify and Apple?
I mean, I'm just not for any other reason other than just I'm just used to it. I'm just partial to Apple products, not because I'm saying one's better than anything else or anything like that.
Yeah, you're just used to it.
Yeah, I switched over to iPhone when I was in I don't know, 2012 or something like that, and I've just been upgrading iPhone since then, whether right or wrong. I mean, whatever. So I'm just kind of partial to Apple products, and that kind of carried over even to Apple Music. So I use Apple Music personally.
Apple Music, you could stream. I mean, you could it works the same as Spotify.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. I mean, whatever most artists are on there. So I mean, you can find stream whatever artist's music, and then they have a podcast app, Apple Podcasts or whatever. That's what I listen to podcasts on. So
it's funny because I've had an iPhone for years now, and I still Spotify is the only thing I've been using just because I'm so used to it
Yeah.
and it's like so easy, to
Yeah.
use. So, but I know Apple Music is $10 as well a month.
Yeah. No, and my fiance, she's had an iPhone for, as long as iPhones have been out, and she uses Spotify mainly to listen to
Yeah, do
music.
they
So I
pay?
mean,
They pay artists the same shit. They both
yeah,
pay
they pay shit regardless. I
shit.
think that Spotify, something just happened recently where I think that they're dicking artists out of money even
They
more
lowered
now.
it. Didn't they lower it even more?
Something
That's
like that.
ridiculous. That's
No,
crazy. It's
that,
like 0.00001
yeah,
cent like
yeah.
every
That's
thousand
why.
plays.
Honestly, that's why like everyone who streams my music, like I appreciate that. Like I appreciate everyone who streams my music
Yeah.
on Apple or Spotify or whatever,
Oh,
at whatever platform. But I will say this, not to say that I don't appreciate it or anything like that. Obviously, I appreciate it. But if you really, really want to support a local artist, find out if they have a Bandcamp page and buy their album through Bandcamp because Bandcamp basically they only take what like Apple would even pay, for like a million streams. Like
yeah.
if I sell like, for example, like someone bought my whole catalog the other day, and I think Bandcamp took like $1.50 out of the whole transaction, something
Mm.
like that, something like that. So I mean, they're just very favorable to artists.
Yeah. I
Um,
think with COVID, there was a point with COVID where they were saying that they're not even gonna take a share.
I think you know what? I think that still might be the case because I keep getting like those notifications that like every month they just keep re-upping on that deal, and
Yeah.
that it's the platform. It's very favorable to artists,
Yeah.
So even if you still plan on like, for example, I'm a big fan of like certain like indie artists who are primarily indie. Like look at artists like Blue, right? For example,
Yeah.
he has like his entire catalog on Bandcamp for the most part. And like, yeah, I'll stream his music on Apple Music, but if I really want to support the dude, I'll just buy that same album. But I really listen to it more on Apple Music just because that's what I just used to listening to on.
Yeah.
But I want
It
to support
automatically play and run through. But the support,
exactly,
you cop his album.
exactly. Or if
Okay.
you don't want to do that, I mean, there's a lot of ways to support artists. Also, don't get me wrong. Even if you're streaming artist music, it's still appreciated. So that's not to shit on that.
Yeah.
Um, but
But to really
but if you
support,
really, really
like,
want to like, hey, I want to contribute to this person's pocket a little
yeah,
bit.
to have the most impact financially, like cop something off Bandcamp or
Yeah,
off a
or buy a
website.
T-shirt or a hat or whatever. The merch is
Yeah.
really a big way that it goes. That the support comes across. And
Yeah.
anyway,
What I did with my last single is just I did name your price. So like
yeah,
you get it for free or you can give me 5, 10, $20 if you want.
yeah,
To get $5 off that single from
yeah,
Spotify, I don't even know how many streams I
yeah.
would need just for $5, off Spotify. So
I think that I think the number was, and I think I posted something. There was like a meme or something, and I saw about this, right? And I'm not trying to get too bogged down in this particular topic because this isn't even what we were going to talk about. But we could
yeah,
talk about this for we could talk about this forever.
yeah.
But there was a meme or whatever that I saw that apparently the the amount of revenue that an artist would make out of like a million streams is like the equivalent of selling 500 copies of an album for $5. So that's like what, $2,500 off of like a million streams. And you got to think about like you have to be some kind of popular, some kind of like known to get like a
A
million streams.
million streams.
A million with an M. I don't know if you said that, but a million
Yeah,
streams. Like, and you could be like the most successful like indie or local artist. A million streams is a lot, man. Like that's like you're known to a certain level. You know what I mean? Like you're not
right.
famous. You may not be famous, but you're kind of known. So I mean, 500 albums isn't as lofty of a thing. If you're an indie touring act, let's say you have a good base of local fans, like say 50 people who really support your shit, and you sell 50 copies, and then you go on the road and you go to so whatever X amount of cities, and you sell maybe 5 or 10 albums in each city. That's probably a more feasible thing than getting to a million streams, to be honest with you. I mean, look, it all requires work. It all requires promo. It all requires connection with fans. But I think it's a more, I don't want to say surefire, but it's more of a. I think it's a better model to go by, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother topic for another podcast. We could build on that.
Yeah.
But for this podcast, we're talking about what labels or what we feel that a label should offer artists right now. Or if you're an artist, what you should expect from a label. So let's enter that realm of thoughts. So
Do you have like an initial thought, or do you want me to start?
I can go. I could go. I mean, first and foremost, I feel like a label needs to give an artist the proper exposure that they need to build their fan base even more. But the main issue I see with labels, and you see it like on the wide scale as well, is they'll put millions or how much ever money behind, say, a album or whatever the case may be, and they'll sell that product or whatever. Yeah, they'll make some money back, but they don't ever follow up and follow through with the fan. So it's like a one thing. I said one transaction and that's it. They don't know, or at least most labels that I've studied and that I've researched, like they don't know about the artist to fan relationship, about building a relationship, and after that initial purchase, that you need to stay in contact with that fan to nurture that relationship, and that results into more support, more word of mouth spreading of that artist, and just creating a lifelong super fan. That's definitely one issue I see with labels that I feel like as an independent artist that has access to the internet now, we can pretty much do that ourselves. We can nurture that relationship and build that with a fan, and really form a tight bond with them.
Right.
So that's definitely one thing that I want to see more from labels. Or like especially on that larger scale, of of the music industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting when you look at like historically, like what labels really meant to artists versus what they are now. If you go back, even like not even like not. I'm not even talking like 60 years. I'm talking about like I'm just saying pre-internet. Where an artist really needed a label more than they do now, right? And excuse me. And back then, it was more typical for a label to sign an artist just off their talent and say, you know what, we see this raw talent here. We're going to develop this talent, and then we're going to put this talent out there. We're going to help this artist put together an album. We're going to put up the money for this artist. Basically front the money for this artist to go to the studio, put an album together, and and we'll market the album. We'll put this artist on tour and blah, 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 blah. And of course, it was a very one-sided contract usually, because to be fair, the label was really hanging everything on this artist. And a lot of times, the artist doesn't even have a following. This is pre-internet. We don't, unless they had a really good gauge on how popular that artist is. It's really tough to say like where the artist would have the leverage, where the label might already have the connections. The label already has the means to put that artist on tour, put that artist in the studio, because also there was not like this easy access to equipment, where buy a PreSonus audio box for $100 and get like a halfway decent recording, at least like a decent demo recording,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, fast forward, in comes the internet. Now you can record, pretty deep, pretty. I don't even say decent. You can record some pretty quality music in your bedroom now.
Yeah.
And of course, the access to the internet, for artists to network and build a fan base over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That's really removed removed some of the pressure, but it's also removed some of the need for a label. So, you know, there's because people have the access to get their music for free, via YouTube or wherever, or
Mm-hmm.
even Napster, remember, for a little while. That takes a big chunk of money out of a label's pocket. So labels aren't going to invest money into an artist anymore. That's just the way it is. Like, they're only going to sign artists who already have some kind of a buzz going. And more
Yeah.
often than not, they're only going to sign an artist who already has an album like ready to go. Like they don't. Their artist development is not a thing anymore. Things have changed in that way, and people look at that as like, okay, that's a bad thing, but it's really not, because if you know what you want out of your music, then why are you going to put all of that? Why are you going to put your art in some suit's hands? Right?
Yeah.
You're going to let the label dictate what you're developed into. And more often than not, a lot of artists already have an idea of what they, how they envision their art,
Yeah.
So it makes it tough because the onus is more on the artist now to build up their own fan base and, get out there and do their own promo and create their own music. But when it comes down to those contracts, I think that the artists really have more of the leverage. I mean, if you build up enough, if you are creative with your marketing and you're able to build a local buzz, and you're making good music, you could make a pretty decent living out of your music, and never have signed with a label. Like,
Yeah.
that's a realistic thing now, where it's like 30 years ago that'd be asinine.
Yeah.
So like, that wouldn't even
Nobody
exist.
even thought like you can do anything with the internet as far as marketing your music, or people
Yeah,
just thought the internet was for sharing recipes and
yeah,
IMing people. Now you got, besides music, being able to build a 6-figure, 7-figure music empire online. Like, you got all these other companies launching online, and just, we could do so much with the internet now that that wasn't possible
right.
30, 20 years ago. So
Yeah,
now the power is really in our hands. So the question is, what can a label do for us that we can't do ourselves via the internet? That becomes the real question. And no, don't get me wrong, like, labels have money which can
yeah,
do things. I believe that a label can expose you to a wider audience
sure.
in lesser time because of the resources they have. But we also have power via like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and just organic traffic to also get exposure to. Maybe not that level. Like,
Right.
we don't have money to get on the radio,
Yeah,
um, payola and like pay to play or whatever that is. But we have power as well. We have power as well. So I mean, we're less reliant on them.
yeah.
And especially when you make more underground music, such as myself, like, I wouldn't expect a major label to pick me up and play my stuff on Hot 97 or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah, I agree. And I think, especially like you just said, if you make like underground music, and if your style is more like niche like that, I mean, why would you even entrust the label to do that? Like, if you just turn on the radio, like, you want to be aligned with that, and maybe you do. I mean, I'm not here to shit on it or anything like that. I mean, that's not what the purpose of this conversation, you know. But if we're talking about just the art, we're just talking about just the music, and like you said, the artist has more power, has more control over it. Why would you relinquish some of that? You know, if most of the things that we're talking about you can do yourself, like you said, like, and so I mean, it does beg the
Yeah.
question: what what can the label do for you? You know, maybe yes, like you said, they have a little bit more capital to put behind you. You know, maybe
Mm-hmm.
they can give you a little bit more of a promotional budget.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe instead of you setting up your own tours, maybe they put you on the road with, they put you on tour with a bigger artist, that maybe can, you know, by association, being on those shows, you can expand your fan base, at a quicker, I don't want to say like higher, but like at least at a quicker rate than you would be able to on your own. I'm not saying that like there's nothing to benefit from it, but just be smart about it, because I have a lot of conversations like artists who are just like, that they're trying to get signed, they're trying to get signed. It's just like, why? Focus on building your local fan base, focus on your music, and if you're doing things right, people will come to you. They'll start knocking on your door. Don't start begging for contracts because that's the way you get a very unfavorable contract.
Yeah, yeah. I think you should be doing your thing, so focused on doing your thing and building
Right.
your relationships and your buzz up. So like you just said, like labels will come to you. You don't have to
Yeah.
be like, hey, check out my music and da da da, like bothering these labels, chasing on these labels, getting
Yeah.
on both knees for these labels. You do it things the right way, then these cats will come to you. Look at Jay Electronica. Jay
Yeah.
Electronica, he's a perfect example of a dude, a conscious dude that was doing his thing, spitting bars, spitting fire, getting his own buzz. And like, he even said in one of his tracks, he was like, yo, now I got labels knocking on my door.
Yep.
Because they were coming to him, dude, And and just what he stands for was so anti-establishment, um, that it was like he wouldn't I couldn't envision Jay Electronica, you know, pursuing a label and begging them for him to sign him. Like he ended up signing to The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock ended up coming at him and offering him whatever it is. Then
But
you
they
know,
offered him. It's not like he begged, as far as I know.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know what kind of
Yeah.
deal the guy got, but I'm sure it was something legit.
Yeah.
And then he, a couple years later, he made an album that was actually Jay-Z's album, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Pretty much.
I guess he was just like, man, I'm so big now. I'll just have Jay-Z just rap on the whole album, and I'll just feature on a couple
I
tracks.
mean, but look how big he got without even like releasing an album.
Yo,
Forget
dude.
forget not even being signed or anything like that. Just without even releasing an album. And there was like this mystique about the dude. Don't get me wrong, he's fire. But
Yeah.
it's like he doesn't even release an album and like people are on his jock,
Yeah, like when are you gonna drop? When are you gonna drop? Like
Yeah.
that, dude. That's the kind of
And I'm
hype.
one of those people. I was like, man, when's this dude gonna drop an album?
Likewise, bro. And even Immortal Technique, like, dude was supposed to, I think it's called the Middle Passage or something. He was supposed to
Yeah.
drop like, um, it's been like 10 years or something like that. He dropped Revolutionary Volume 2 or something. And I don't know the, I don't know the names of the albums in the time frame, but I know like a certain big chunk of time went from his last big album and people were just like, yo, constantly asking, like, yo, it's been 10 years or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. When are you gonna drop? And like people were just asking and asking and asking. And I personally think it's building up more of anticipation. So when the dude does drop whatever he's dropping, it's gonna be like huge. It's
Yeah.
gonna be huge. But
Yeah. I know the other example I was gonna bring up was like Tech Nine, right? Um, you talk about that's as like indie as it gets. I mean, they really built that
facts.
shit from like nothing. And
Facts.
now, I mean, they're doing $1 million a year just in merch. Like, forget the shows and everything else. They do $1 million just in merch at least, you know. And it doesn't matter who you mention from Strange, whether it's Tech Nine, whether it's like Mayday, um, Test Crew, whatever you name, whoever. These people are all these artists are like they're constantly, and not right now, but like they're constantly doing shows and releasing music and everything. And because of the way that they've done things and built it up from like nothing and done it in a way where it's not like some like this artificial like buzz, right? It's been more of like, I'm gonna build this truly from a true connection with fans, right? Where they have cult followings, at this point, where these dudes can like not, they could like not drop an album for a few years, but when they do, people are gonna jump on that like immediately. If Tech Nine goes to your city to do a show, that shit will sell out, and I'm saying like sell out in like a big venue.
Yeah, he sold out. Was it the what venue was that? 578.
578. I was there. It was nuts.
It was
we were talking
crazy.
about that with Split the other day. Like that was nuts.
Yeah. Did Split play that show?
He did. Yeah. And I was just like, I can't even imagine performing for this many people, man.
Were you fanboying?
Bro, the show was crazy. But you know what? But that's part of it. That's part of it though. And this has nothing to do. This part of it has nothing to do with the label. Because especially when it comes to hip hop, I don't know the major label approach when it comes to putting their artists like on tour and stuff like that. I mean, from like an artistic standpoint of like how they want those shows to look. But whether you're a fan of Tech Nine or not, if you go to a Tech Nine show, that will be like one of the most memorable experiences, because that shit is like really well like choreographed and like well thought out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts.
He puts a lot into it, and another guy, Kanye, definitely has put a lot into his shows with the whole like floating stage.
Yeah. I'm doing that because I'm wearing a Kanye shirt. Sorry.
Oh, you got the. Does that say College Dropout?
Yeah.
I was like, because I could only see the college on the top. I was like, I bet that says the College Dropout.
Yeah. Oh, that was kind of funny that he brought up Kanye West.
Yeah, but like, because we're talking about shows and just like putting what these artists put into it, and I believe Kanye is at the top of that. Like, as far as what he's put, the craftsmanship of the quality of the shows are just beyond sick. But like Tech Nine definitely is up there. He's definitely up there.
It's funny that you mentioned Kanye West, because there was an interview. It was like one of these like, this is behind the music or whatever. This is like a couple of years after he first came out, right? And they were talking about like when he first signed Rockefeller, right? Yeah. He was like, and he's talked about this even on like on his first album, that like he was trying to get signed like really, really bad. And he was like kind of at the end of that wave of like, you want to sign with a major label. You want to sign with a major label, where the major label would do more for you than you could do for the label. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of in that last wave of that, And I mean, even like Dame Dash was like, because they signed him and then they didn't put out any of his content for like 2 years after he signed. And like even like Dame in that documentary or whatever, he's like, no, it's not uncommon for us to sign an artist. It wasn't uncommon for us to sign an artist and put them on the shelf for a couple of years until we felt they were ready. Like,
who said this? Dame Dash?
Dame Dash. And like that was a very common thing with labels historically. It's like, okay, this artist isn't quite ready yet. Let's kind of trickle them out there, see how people respond to this, and then at a strategic time, we'll put out their music, when we can build up their buzz. Nah, like obviously, Kanye in that situation put up the money. He put up the money himself, for the video through The Wire, through his own party to release the video and all that. I mean, that's kind of like, you see a lot of things shifting around that same time frame, because this is also at the same time when the internet musically was really booming, starting to boom. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely transitioned, like, in full force now. I mean, where it's like, why even sign with a major label at this point?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the model now is just, focus on your own thing, keep it indie, and then, if the opportunity presents itself, use a major for distribution.
Yeah.
You know.
Bro, major labels, things have shifted so much with the internet, and especially now because touring is not really huge right now. I mean, are people still touring? Do you know?
I mean, I see people doing like random shows here and there. I mean,
yeah, but there's no like full-fledged like
I don't see that.
freaking international tours because like I mean
Nah.
you can't even travel
As I
without
say,
being
it's travel
quarantined
ban.
14 days and all that, you know?
Right. So
Yeah,
it's pretty different.
everything's shifted now, man. So like with the internet now we have we us artists and us creators we definitely have a more power and we have more leverage on these labels now.
Yeah.
As far as what we should be expecting from them, because I mean you don't need a label now, so they should actually be the ones um making the effort. You know what I mean? They should be the ones making the effort to help us artists because we got the internet.
Let me ask you a question, and it kind of relates to what you just said. Like, you don't need a label necessarily. So
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you this: if without putting the name of the label, without saying the name of the label,
Mm-hmm.
what what would you if you were to sign with a label? What would be like the top like one or two things you would be looking for? Like, what would be like the selling point to you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I want to sign with this label.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind would be my artistic freedom.
Right.
Like, don't fuck with what I say, how I say it.
Right.
You can give me advice, and I
Yeah.
might or might not take it, you know. But don't tell me like, oh, you can't say that, or artistic freedom
Right.
for an artist. And you're an artist. Like you wouldn't want nobody being like, yo, use that hi hat instead of that hi hat. But I'm sure you wouldn't mind if they like suggested it to you.
Yeah.
But I don't want nobody telling me like, yo, I can't talk about freaking the president or talk about like, how most of the wars that America's involved in is complete bullshit and it's just for resources. Like, don't tell me I can't say that. You
Yeah.
know? So that's definitely the first thing that comes to mind. And the second thing I would say that I would want to that would be required of a label if they wanted to back me is just how they handle back to like the fan relationship thing we were talking about earlier. Um, that's a requirement for me. Like you have to know how to you have to develop a bond and relationship with my fans because I don't want my fans thinking that they're just numbers and all I want from them is their money. I want them to feel like, yo, I want to connect with y'all, and that's something I feel like labels don't really know about, or at least the major labels don't know about. They're just all about like, yo, let's sell this product. Everything is numbers, a product. It's a business, and which I understand there's that business aspect to it, but I want my fans to feel like, yo, this dude actually cares, like he reaches out, he's he's willing to conversate with me and everything. But I mean that comes with my effort, like I can't expect the label to do all that, but I do expect them to kind of be like the medium, like if you're collecting these subscribers from me, these fans, like, set up a freaking a live stream with them for me, like set that up.
For you to build with them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could answer questions from them and like you know, BS with them, talk with them, stuff like that. You know, like so. To answer your question, that's one of the things that's one of the things that's definitely a requirement. Like know how to set it up in a way where I can connect with them.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, man. So, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. I think we can kind of put a bow on that one. No,
Okay. Anything else?
there's like a bow like right over your head in the picture. In case anyone doesn't realize, in the video he's got a background and there's like a present on the wall and it has a bow on it. So on that note, actually there's one over your shoulder too, over your left shoulder. Yeah, right there.
I don't know what's in my room.
Yeah, I will.
Take a picture of this, man. Take a whole picture. But anything else you wanna?
No, you know what? I think that something that artists, I don't know if artists taking this, a lot of artists take this into consideration, but I think they should, is when they're signing with a label, whether it's indie or whether it's major, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that you should take a look at that label's roster and say, does this label know what they're doing with my style of music?
Very important.
You know, like, is this like aligned with what they mostly do? If so, okay, cool. Then this is what they do regularly. And
yeah.
Then it's like, okay, cool. It's okay for you to be kind of like that, you know, you're that zig when they're zagging type of talent, you know, on their roster. That's cool. You can be different from everyone else, but like, what do they plan on doing with you? You know, are they going to try to mold you into one of those other artists? Or are they going to kind of just say, hey, you know what? We think that you're unique and we appreciate the fact that you're unique from everyone else on this roster. And we'll give you the proper backing that you need, or just as much as we give these other guys, you know, because we believe in you as a talent. We believe in the art. So that's just another aspect that I think that artists need to keep in mind. But I think ultimately, you know, I think that a lot of people are making it from indie side now, without major labels involved at all. And, you know, you may never even be on the radio, and that's still fine too. You can make a very lucrative career, a very steady, and maybe not even lucrative, but just a steady, at very least steady career.
Yeah, definitely replacing 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Replacing 9 to 5.
Absolutely, or at least match what you're making at your 9 to 5. You know, a lot of people working 9 to 5 don't make that. You know, or some people are doing great. Don't get me wrong. Some people have some great jobs, and you know, and then they supplement their.
I tell you, man, I make $3,000 a month off my music. I'm good. Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable.
I feel like you know, whatever amount of money you make, you know, not you, but like anybody. Let's just say you make 45K or whatever, you know, from your job that you probably hate, you know, or you don't love it, you know, maybe you don't hate it, but you don't love it. If I told you, hey, here's 35K, but you're doing music full time, you taking it?
I'm taking it.
I think a lot of artists would take that, honestly, you know. So everyone has a number in their head. Everyone knows that what that number is. What, you know, depending on their circumstances and you know their lifestyle, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, don't rely on a label. In my opinion, don't rely on a major label. You know, if you come across a label who really sees your vision, cool. You know, then you know, God bless you. You know, do your thing, man. Just continue your climb. You know.
Yeah.
But don't hold your breath on it. Just keep working on your art, and you know, just keep trying to build your buzz. You know, build up that buzz. And I think what did I see? I saw from like I can't remember what artist. It was an artist who I really admire, who I think tweeted this the other day. But basically, that the conventional model is to gain one fan a day. So organically, though, I mean, reach out to someone, have them listen to your music, have them give you honest feedback. You know what I mean? Like if you do that with one person a day on average, that's like the truest form of like building a fan base.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I recommend that.
Yeah, man. So all you artists out there, it's okay to want to sign with a label, but know your worth. Understand that we're in completely different times now, and you can totally leverage the internet and make a good living knowing how to use the tools that we're given right now. You don't need a label. I'm not gonna say like don't ever sign with anybody. You know, if that's presented to you and you get a great deal and like you know what you're doing and you feel that they can offer you what you're worth, then do it. Go for it. But don't feel like you need a label to make a sustainable income and to live off your craft now, because you don't. There's people doing it. My mentor, she's making well over 6 figures just, you know, being her own label. Like now we have the powers to be our own label, do our own PR, do our own marketing, to build our own fan relationships. And yeah, the power's in our hands now. So don't ever.
You don't want the label to ask you. You don't want the label to ask you why should we sign you. You want to be able to have. You want to have your music good. You want to have, if you God willing, you have your own. You do your own graphics, or you have someone who's on point with the graphics.
Yeah.
Have someone on your team who does video work and photo work. You know,
Yeah.
you set up your own shows. You know, you already have a buzz, so that way you can walk into that meeting and you could tell them, if you do want to sign on with a label, you tell them, what can you do for me? You know, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, is building yourself up enough so that you can ask that question instead of the other way around, where you have to answer their question. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So, yeah, man, that's all I got.
Yeah, same here. So appreciate y'all joining us for another episode of the Elevated Audio Podcast. Again, follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Now we're on Apple Music, Spotify, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, like. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything specific. You know. Yeah, and as far as my personal plugs, you know, Roj Elevate Everything, ROJELEV8, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you check out that new Realize video, REALIZE. It's on YouTube. Yeah, check it out. Leave comments. Like it, subscribe, and yeah, I'll holler at y'all next time. Yep. What you got, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to just repeat what you just said. Just whatever platform you're listening to us or watching this, just make sure to subscribe, share it, you know, tell some people about it if you enjoyed it. Make sure to connect with us on Facebook, Instagram. Also, like Raj said, if you want us to talk about a specific topic that you think that would be interesting for us to talk about, you know, you can contact us at any of those, you know, on any of the social media platforms, or you can even email us. elevatedaudiopodcast@gmail.com. And for myself, I'm Khris Audio. That's KHRIS Audio on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can also contact me via my business, Soundbreaking Music, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also soundbreakingmusicllc.com. So it shouldn't be that hard to find either one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, once again, y'all, appreciate y'all tuning in. Peace out.